Hello, welcome to the new semester. I think for you the subject is not new because you had already started the book titled Signatures. But I am dealing with this for the first time, and since I was not able to get hold of the textbook so far, this lesson will be kind of introduction about the author as well as the topic that is dealt with. So the first class that I will be taking is about Pablo Neruda, the Chilean writer and also the poet who had beautiful memoirs written, and the first lesson is actually about his memoirs. So let us go straight to the author. Let us try to get familiarized with him. So he was a great writer, and let's see more about him. Excerpts from memoirs about the author. So his full name is Neftali Ricardo Reyes Basolto. The internationally acclaimed Latin American poet was born in 1904 in Parral, Chile. So he is from a country called Chile, which is close to Peru, and he was born in 1904. In 1920, he went to Santiago to study and publish his first book of poems, La Canción de la Fiesta. Actually, the meaning is actually dancing to the music. That was in 1921, and his second collection, Crepusculario, it means beautiful twilight. These are all Spanish words because his language is Spanish. Many of the Latin American countries have Spanish as their mother tongue. That's because they were conquered by the Spaniards. Just like British ruled over India for a long time, the Spaniards or the Spanish people were their rulers for a long time. So this second collection titled Crepusculario brought him instant recognition. Recognition here means fame. In 1924, he published the enormously popular 20 Poemas de Amor una Canción Desesperada. Actually, it means 20 love poems and songs of despair. From 1927 to 1945, he served as Chilean consul in Rangoon, Java, and Barcelona, and was writing continuously. So here you find he was also a politician, and he was very close to the president of Chile. So very highly influential person, even politically. So he was able to carry on his political as well as his literary life. Greatly influenced by events in the Spanish Civil War, Neruda joined the Communist Party after the Second World War, and his changed attitudes registered themselves in his poetry. So he was also influenced by the Spanish Civil War because they had a very close relationship with Spain because their mother tongue is Spanish, and they were under the Spaniards for a long time. From now on, he regarded poetry not as an elite pursuit, but as a statement of human solidarity addressed to simple people. So during his time, the poets were not considered as ordinary people, or even poetry was not meant for ordinary people, it was meant for the elite or the high class people. But then he changed that attitude. He wanted to write for the simple people, for the common man. Canto General, one part of which is The Heights of Machu Picchu, translated by Nathaniel Tan, is a poem of epic proportions, tracing the history of Latin America and evoking the grandeur of its landscapes. I think most of you must have heard of this place, Machu Picchu. Actually, it is a world heritage or historic sanctuary. It was the place of Inca Empire. It is close to the Amazon basin. The Incas, or the empire of the Incas, was conquered by the Spaniards in the 16th century. So after that conquest, that place was desolate, and nobody went to that place again. Only in the later 19th century, or after that only, people came to know about this particular place. So this poem titled Canto General is actually dealing with Latin America's history and also the beautiful landscape. Always a prolific poet, Neruda continued to write poetry throughout the 50s and 60s. And in 1971, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Poetry. So he was a prolific poet, used to write in different styles or genres, and he continued to write poetry even throughout the 50s and 60s. And he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Poetry in 1971. From 1970 to 1973, he served under Allende as Chilean ambassador to Paris. So Allende was actually the president of Chile, and he was very close to the president. That's why he was appointed as ambassador to Paris of France. It is reported that Neruda died in 1973 due to cancer, but it was interpreted by many as murder. So there is a kind of mystery shrouding his death. Some say he was murdered, but we don't know the fact. Now coming to his book or memoirs. As the name suggests, memoirs are about his entire life, that is the memory of his life, whatever he thinks about. His literary influences, who are the people who influenced him, his writing. A major portion of his memoirs details his political birth and subsequent political career, which simultaneously influenced his poetry. So this book deals with his political infancy or beginning, how he is getting into politics, and his political career as ambassador and other designations. And also his political career definitely influenced his writing or poetry. In fact, Neruda began to use poetry as a medium to express his political beliefs, as well as detail the momentous political occurrences happening all around him. So he used to convey or translate or even communicate his political beliefs through his writing, especially his poetry. He also wrote about the great events, historical events that unfolded around him while he was alive, like Spanish War or Civil War and all that. In his memoirs, Neruda talks about several themes such as his politics, patriotism, nationalism, communism, socialism, local politics, regional politics, world politics, the literary circles Neruda had moved in, all the writers, poets, editors he met throughout his life. These are the major themes of the book and by extension his life. So, in his memoirs, he has written about all these various topics, mostly related to politics and patriotism or nationalism and all that. And also the people who were associated with him, especially in his literary circles. About the text. The excerpts from the memoirs of Pablo Neruda, the word proves the multitude potential of words and his intimate affiliation with words that portray his personal and political life. So, a part of his memoirs is dedicated to the word, and it's almost like it's a kind of poetry. I think it is a part of your textbook, you can see that, and it only shows his passion for words. I think a good writer will definitely be passionate about words. I think he was like that. Multitude potential means great potential of words. And his intimate affiliation means his close contact or his close relationship with words. So, unless you have a close relationship with words, you cannot be a writer. Words can manifest vivid expression. Vivid means very clear and powerful. Whether in poetry or prose, words sing and descend, and the poet even bows to them. So, we cannot write without words, whether it is poetry or prose. If you want to express, definitely the means or the tools are the words. He expresses intense love towards words. He always clings to words and tries to tame it while writing. He clings to means he keeps close to words, he embraces them, he hugs them, and he tries to tame them, keep them under control. So, that shows the power of that writer. So, words become your tools, your servants. You can command them and they will do whatever you want. Sometimes he runs after words, and all his acts of life are closely associated with words. So, sometimes you have to go after the words, hunting for them, and all your actions become very closely related to words. Sometimes words come like unexpected rain, and he waits for them greedily to drop down. So, he is comparing words to rain and how he is waiting eagerly or greedily for them to drop like showers. He loves vowels and compares it with vivid objects in nature like colored stones, silverfish, foam, thread, metal, and dew. So, he had a special love for vowels, the vowel sounds, and he is comparing them with colorful objects in nature like precious stones or silverfish or foam. Foam here means the bubbles, thread, metal, and dew. Even dew, when it is in the sunshine, you can see the dew shining in the morning and all that. While writing poems, he often runs after beautiful words to make them fit into his poems. So, a good poet or a good writer always knows how to use words. So, the selection of vocabulary is very crucial in your writing. He compares his encounter with the words to the everyday activities in a human life. So, his meeting with words. It's almost like the actions that you do every day, like getting up, brushing your teeth, having breakfast. So, you meet words everywhere. Wherever you look, you cannot escape words, because every object in the world is representing a word. So, words are surrounding us. You can't escape words. He deals with words like dealing something edible. For he says he cleans them, peels them, and make them his meal. So sometimes he uses words as if they are some kind of meals or food, something that you can eat. So he says he cleans, peels, and then make them his food. So it only shows how madly, passionately in love he was with words. He finds words from everything that exists in this world. The words gather its meaning through long journeys from country to country. So everything in the nature or in the world are words, basically. Words gather its meaning through long journeys from country to country. So words travel from one country to another. It travels all over the world. So you find that a language is influencing another language. Many of the words that we use today are not our own native words. We use a lot of foreign words that came from many other countries or ancient culture and history and all that. So words are a part of history, a part of culture. Neruda is so proud of the language that inherited, according to him, from the brave Spanish conquerors of Mexico and Peru. So the Spanish language definitely came from the Spanish conquerors of Mexico and Peru. So he is very proud of that language. In this small extract, he brings the memory of his great ancestors who struggled to build up a civilized culture. So he is remembering his predecessors, his ancestors who built up a great civilization or culture. Amidst these struggles, they paid special attention to literature and arts. So every civilization will definitely have its literature and also arts. Luminous words were left here. Luminous means shining or bright. They carried off the gold and left gold. That means there are two different golds referred here. One is the actual gold that you mine from the fields, and then the gold that left, that is the words, the language, the glittering words for the future generations. So they looted the country of the gold, just like the British did to India, but they left behind a beautiful language for the future generations. He believed that the words are the gift from the great ancestors. So any language is definitely transmitted from one generation to the next. So words are also like that, because words are a part of language. So he considers all these words as gift from the previous generation or the ancestors. With that, we come to the end of this section, the first part. Next class we will go into the text proper. Okay, till then it is goodbye. Thank you.